Hi, it's Joy, and today we're watching The Rings of Power, Season 2, Episode 4, Eldest. I'm so excited with this episode. I'm also extremely stressed because Sauron is getting everything he wants, and that is very stressful to me. Well, let's go. And I've been thinking, excuse me, loud intro music. I've been thinking so much about, like, what they should do when it comes to the rings, and I mean, I was team, like, put them on, use them, we need them, but at the same time, I was also like, that is exactly what Sauron wants. But thinking about what these characters were going through and the situations they were in, I was like, of course they're going to put them on, of course they need to. And that just really shows you the insidious way Sauron gets people to do what he wants. He doesn't lie to people, he just says what they want, or says things and doesn't quite give the full context, but he's getting everything he wants, and it's terrifying.
I trust you can recommend a set?
Trust? Me?
Mm-hmm.
That's wise, Commander.
Beneath you, I will choose another.
Yes.
Yes, what?
She knows some people.
An archer and 2 swordsmen.
I definitely think it rankles that she is a commander. Elrond is just a dude. I mean, he's not just a dude, but he was more like a politician rather than a commander. So him being a commander over her definitely will rankle with her. But he's also been, like, not trusting her and dismissing her this entire time. And, like, yes, we can probably say in the long run, Sauron does want the rings created. They probably shouldn't have used them, but then the elves would have all left. Like, we don't know actually what would have happened if they hadn't used them. And we don't know that Sauron wouldn't have had another way of getting everything he wants. But Elrond has just been being so dismissive with Galadriel the whole of the last 2 episodes that now he's like, so now we're friends again? Come on, Elrond. Be better this episode, please. I miss their friendship. I've been having a bit of a, like, shitty mental health day, and honestly, just I'm being swept back into Fantasyland, into Middle-earth, and I feel better. Galadriel, you doing okay there?
There's evil in those hills.
Yep.
We walk into a trap.
She's not wrong.
We go south.
Disregarding her opinion.
Your opinion on the matter has been heard.
She's not wrong to say that you don't trust her.
I should like to.
Then why do you not?
Because she cares.
Because I do not wish to see any of this company slain.
Exactly. She still cares about you. You're not acting like you care about her. Oh, okay, I do want to know about Nori. It's so fascinating because I guess in the long run, yes, using the rings is wrong and yes, Elrond is right, but he's just being such a dick about it. Like, he's not made any acknowledgements that, you know, yes, it is a good thing that the tree is healed, like, that is good, or like, maybe you were right, but we still have to stop Sauron. Like, he's not even remotely considering that the other point of view might be valid. He's just like, I'm right, you're wrong, and it really makes me question how he views his friends and if he's ever valued anybody before and if he's ever actually allowed anybody else's opinion to be correct. Like, or at least he hasn't even said, like, I know you think you were doing the right thing and I know that you still believe that, but I can't believe it. Like, he's kind of acting like you did the wrong thing and it was stupid and you're just stupid and drawn to the dark side. It's really bothering me. And I used to really like their friendship. I know it wasn't in it a whole load because they were very inseparable lines, but like when we were introduced to them, I was like, oh, they're friends. That's so, like, yes. And this season, I'm like, I know Elrond survives, but fuck him. A little bit extreme. I do still like Elrond, but... And I know it can be incredibly frustrating when you know something to be true, you're so sure of it, and everyone around you is acting like they don't know and they don't understand and not listening to you. But he's just so dismissive all the time with Galadriel, and it could be argued right now that he's the commander and she's his subordinate, and so, like, in front of the other elves, if she's, like, questioning him, it will diminish his command role or whatever. But he's been doing it this entire time. And okay, let's find Nori and Penny. Did he turn Nori into a goat? That would be quite inconvenient.
Poppy?
Poppy, not Penny. I knew Penny was wrong.
But my friends and I were looking for these stars. I had hoped that...
Oh dear. Does he know something? Is the tree alive? I didn't know you were a living tree. Like, that kind of living. I'm very sorry. So this is going great.
Mum calls me Merry Mac.
I'm Poppy.
You don't have time for flirting, you two.
Harford's living in holes.
Yep.
It's the Dark Wizard. And the last friend we need is a friend of his. Tie him up.
No, my wizard is not friends with anybody. How are you doing in the tree?
Let him out again.
Is it a pet?
Back in the Withy window, folk used
The
to call me
hermit.
Bombadil. Tom Bombadil.
That's a name I've heard, but I've zero, like, knowledge of what it is. No spoilers.
Is no one else here with you?
You're here? That is, I think you are you?
Was it a memory he was hearing with the woman singing? Like he knows
What
the
was it
song?
that you were hoping to find? Eldest. That's what I am.
Okay.
I thought he
Hmm.
might be able to lend me a branch.
Oh, well, you should have tried asking him.
Like, who is this guy? The creation story of Middle Earth?
Whether you can become so, well, we shall soon discover.
Can you speak a little plainer, please? We all need some answers. Like, direct answers, please.
I was never meant to find a staff.
Not without an ally far more powerful even than himself.
Sauron.
Oof, oof, oof.
If these two flames combine into one. Old Tom's a wanderer, not a warrior.
Do seem to have the
Great
power
deeds
to
are
help.
left to the hands they were placed in.
You mean my hands?
I think he does, possibly. But also, it's so interesting because there's that argument for if you have the capability, like there's superhero responsibility thing of like, if you have the ability to help people, isn't it your responsibility to use it? Even if at the expense of like your own like peace of mind? Or do you have the agency and the right to say, I might have these powers, but I'm gonna go pick some lilies? Like, should this guy help? So even I've heard the name Tom Bombadil, but I have never really
Is it my task
heard why.
to stop the fire?
Is to face them both.
Well, then you can stop speaking in riddles to me and give me some plain answers. Oh, this is what Galadriel and her ring warned you about. The rings aren't, I don't
What is
think,
this
wholly
place?
bad.
I feel no rest here.
Maybe we could just keep moving, get through it.
Even the trees seem ill at ease.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep walking. Let's be elves that keep on walking, walking, walking. We could sing the traveling song. Let's sing the traveling song together, the walking song. You may not know
A
it.
moment.
I don't know how to teach it to you, but
Don't let go!
I don't think we have a choice. Okay, awful as that is, and rip to that guy, keep moving. Was he being eaten?
Prepare yourselves.
There are enough of them. Yep, this isn't great. How do we defeat these things? Like, we can clearly, I'm guessing, delay them. Cause them some discomfort for a moment. It's what she saw.
Take it.
Now you trust her? I'm sorry. See, we delay them. All the weapons they had in there are enough to kill them.
I think it's safe to say that something has awoken them.
Mm-hmm. Someone.
Someone. Awakening evil
Mm-hmm.
across all Middle Earth.
I mean, Galadriel is a better person than I am, because I'd be tempted to say, like I told you. I mean, given that someone died, I don't think I would actually want my friend to feel like it was his fault, because I don't think Elrond was planning on getting anyone killed. It's not really his fault. But she literally was like, there is evil in those woods. Sauron wants us to go this way. And Elrond was like, la 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 la. And then they went the way Sauron wanted, and one of them is dead now. La la la. But I did enjoy the way Elrond and Galadriel worked together as a team, like how he was able to help her, and like they just, if they just listened to Galadriel, things would be better. Is she perfect? No. Is she always right? Definitely not. But when in doubt, trust Galadriel, which may get me into trouble, but that's where I am right now. Oh, the question of what to do with the rings is still so interesting, because Sauron being involved is definitely a reason to not use them, but then I don't think Sauron will be like, well, they didn't use the rings, so I'll just go home now. Did the giant thing get him? Yep, something else is going on here.
That part of the forest is old. Promise you there are wild men there, and worse.
Worse is what may have done this. I still need to know with her, is she just somebody who, it was literally a case of survival, they're going to kill me unless I swear, so she swore and now she's alive and free? Or is she a double agent of some kind? Because I will not blame her one thing if she swore to save her own life.
You missed a spot.
You told him you were looking for your betrothed.
I'd like to see that.
I wager you're betrothed with two?
Mm-hmm. She's like, oh fuck, that is what I told him. Unless she does have a betrothed.
Foolish of me.
We all do foolish things sometimes, especially in moments of hopelessness.
I don't think we're blaming you.
He's a wild man. She's one of them. And she's going to lead us to all the others.
Is she loyal to them though? Because I reckon some of the wild men are just people wanting to survive. If you get caught by Adar, maybe you can be brave and strong and say, I would rather die than surrender to you, but not everyone is going to make that choice, and that's okay. If you then commit atrocities for Adar to save your own life, that's very different. But, like, if you just, like, I'll take, like, yes, I'll serve you, it's not true, it's not genuine, because you have no other choice.
Wait, you don't even have a betrothed.
Would you rather I died in Mordor?
I don't know. Let me think.
That was cruel. Like, I want to know, my question to her would be, were you using me this whole time? Or were you just trying to get to safety? Like, were you using me as a part of an evil plot? Or were you using me to get access to this place and be safe? Those are two very different things. One of them is very understandable, one of them is less so. Okay, sweetheart, you're alive. I'd really like you to survive this and get to have already the rest for the rest of your life is as peaceful as possible. That would be nice.
Be still.
Is he thinking?
Right.
If it's not alright.
Lift me up.
He's trying. Oh god, I think we're going down. Isildur was like, if I'm going down, you are coming with me. I will not let go of your hand. Like, if I have to go through this, you are coming down with me. I think, like, obviously, Arondir was also holding on to him, desperately trying to pull him up, but, like, he really was like, if I fall, you fall. She's helping him. Okay, that was not what I was expecting. At all. I thought it was like quicksand.
What's that?
There are nameless things in the deep places of this world.
That was one of them. But she saved you and she could have run. I mean, I know in terms of running, if she had run, she would have had to explain the manacles on her wrist. But she could have been like, the wild men caught me and they chained me, help. I'm a feeble woman, help me, I guess. I still need to know her story. Like, she's not explaining herself, which makes me think maybe she was doing nefarious things, but I could still buy that she was just someone trying to live.
endless streams of cold water and rolling hills so soft a family could dig an hole and live in
Hobbitland?
it in less than a
Hobbiton?
month.
Shire? I know
He told
words.
it, promised when he did, he'd send someone back to gather the rest of us.
So that's why
That
they're
was the last any of
traveling.
us ever heard.
They weren't supposed to be endless wanderers. They were supposed to be looking for something. We'll find it one day.
We don't have a home.
The only halflings we know about in this desert are stores.
She probably would have given them up before she heard Dwayne Burrows. Things aren't as simple as they seemed, and they did not seem simple.
But I believe it is guiding me. And that following it may be our only path.
She's trying to talk.
Is there no point at which the cost of victory becomes too great?
Of course
I have yet
not.
to reach that point.
But what
How does that not terrify you?
what is he saying the cost is right now? Like, genuinely, what does he mean? That what is she allowed to happen, or what has been the cost of victory thus far? Like, that guy died because we didn't listen to the ring. He didn't die because we did, for one thing. So it's not even like you can say we lost one of our companions because of the ring. The only cost is that it's what Sauron wanted. But there's no reason we can't say that Sauron wanted the rings to be created to ultimately use them for his own aims, but that doesn't mean we can't use them for ours. Like, they have no proof that he did anything to them. They looked at the forge, they were like, I can't see that he did anything. Like, I don't at this point know what he means. And please, if I'm being really dumb and you're like, obviously they meant, I mean, yes, you could say the creation of Mordor, but that had nothing to do with Galadriel or her quest for victory. That was going to happen regardless if she turned up to try and fight the orcs or not, because the guy was going to take the sword hilt thing and shove it in the tower and create the volcano. Like, that was Sauron's plan, or that was the orcs' plan, sorry, but I guess it was also ultimate Sauron's plan. Like, that was the plan. So that would have happened if Galadriel had just been like, well, I'm an elf, let the Southlands fall, I don't care. If she had just sat and braided her hair, then it still would have happened. So that's not a cost you can lay at her door. You could potentially lay the deaths of the Númenóreans and the elves. Did any elves fight with her? It was just Númenóreans. But the deaths of the Númenóreans, their deaths, I suppose, yes. But they were trying to help save people from orcs. That's hardly a bad thing. Like, what is this great cost that he thinks is so shocking that Galadriel can't see? Or does he think the elves should leave and go back to Valinor, and the elves should just peace out and say, like, you will deal with the suffering, you can deal with Sauron, we're out? Like, am I being really stupid? What does Elrond mean that he's like, does it not shock you that you haven't reached that point? Nothing has happened because of the rings yet that is bad. There probably will come a time when that is not the case, but as it stands right now, what is Elrond going on about?
My father foresaw that one day Celebrimbor's life would be in my hands.
At least he's now engaging with her and talking with her.
There will be more painful sacrifices.
Galadriel?
Promise me, Eldest. You will put opposing Sauron above all other considerations. Even my life.
I will make no promise whose asking is born of that ring.
It's not. This is literally the woman who did not have a life from the point her brother died to when you tried to ship her off to Valinor, because she was hunting Sauron. Putting Sauron's demise at the top priority is Galadriel. That is who she is. From the moment I met her, she went, hey, I'd like to see Sauron's demise. That was every aspect of who she is in the show, is stop Sauron, stop Sauron. Yes, along the way, she kind of started to fall in love with him, but she didn't know it was him. And then the minute she figured out it was him, stop Sauron, stop Sauron. So, like, why are they acting like she A, has never said that, and B, I mean, I can understand not wanting to agree to kill your friend, like, or whatever, like that, or let your friend die. That is a request I can definitely get behind. But Like, I mean, I can understand not wanting to make that promise, but saying it's because you can't tell whether or not it's the ring asking her to say that or her. I mean, it's one of the most Galadriel things she said all episode. She didn't have a life. She went searching for him for so long that her own team were like, we're mutinying. We don't want to do this anymore. Like, being willing to die to stop Sauron is the most Galadriel thing Galadriel has ever Galadrieled. What is it? I like Elrond more in this episode. Like, they actually spoke in this scene. He listened to her, but then he didn't agree with anything. Like, he didn't even kind of agree to compromise or agree to be like, as far as within, like, you know, as long as I still think it's the right thing to do, I will try and stop Sauron. And I kind of feel like the only reason he's feeling a bit more vulnerable in this moment, the only reason he's able to speak to Galadriel a little bit more like she's a human, a person, I meant an elf, a person who matters and his friend again, is because he realizes if he'd listened to her, then that guy wouldn't have died in the woods. There's no reason to say he wouldn't have died in a different situation, but he wouldn't have died because she told them there was going to be danger if they went on this path, and they found that danger and one of his men died. So he's feeling guilty about that. I don't fully put that, I don't actually blame him for that at all. But like, that is why he's kind of feeling a bit more vulnerable and willing to speak to her. But then he's immediately back to being like, I know better than you. Galadriel being willing to die to stop Sauron. That is Galadriel. I wish for her sake that she was able to have more in her life. I would love for her to be able to, I mean, again, don't tell me these things. Obviously, by the time of Lord of the Rings, Sauron is an eye in the sky. So I'm guessing over the course of the events we're watching in this show, they defeat him and like send him to another plane or something, imprison him somehow. So I presume they assumed that was job done, rather than like, oh, there'll be a problem in a few hundred years, but we'll deal with it then. I assume they were like, we've defeated him, like, we can't kill him, but we've sent him to another plane of existence. Don't spoil anything for me. Like, that is what they were doing. So in that sense, I'm hopeful that Galadriel will get to have a period of her life where she's not constantly thinking about Sauron and is able to just live. Even if she's thinking about helping the elves and doing good things, I don't know. That is my hope for this woman. But her saying, yeah, let me die if it's going to save Sauron. If it's going to stop Sauron, or even like kill me if you genuinely think I'm working with him or something, that is the most Galadriel ever. But you're the same person who last episode was like, I think the darkness is calling to you. I think you fell for him and I think you're going into the dark. Like, Elrond, I'm trying so hard to root for you and you have been less annoying this episode. You're still annoying me.
But I swear to you.
Okay.
Defeating Sauron will come first.
Okay, that
Before you.
That I why did you have to say the dick part first? Like, that was much better. That was acknowledging her fears and acknowledging that that's just something Galadriel would ask, and that yes, for both of them. Like, in the same way that if she needs to think if it was Elrond going to die or I can finally stop Sauron, she should stop Sauron and let her friend die. That is an incredibly hard thing to do for both of them. So thank you, Elrond. You are far less annoying in this episode. Still a little bit annoying, but you are far less annoying, and you're actually back to remembering that even though you disagree with Galadriel, she is someone you care about and your friend. In the last couple of episodes, I feel like he forgot that. We need her story before we judge her one way or the other.
Isildur, you see.
She is evil.
Forgiveness doesn't come to folk like me.
Or
Sooner or later they'll cast me out.
he was ready for this. It's like, even now, she's not acting out of... I was worried she was going to be like, I have to serve my master or something. Even now, she's just saying, it's not like they'll... If they know these... I guess, is she thinking she needs to kill them both so that she can go back and no one will know? But maybe, or she needs to just run and hide or something. But like, she's still speaking from a place of a woman who's trying to survive, rather than someone who is evil.
I won't let them cost you out.
You can come to Numenor with me. We have bigger problems. Like, she's not speaking as a loyal servant of Adar, she's speaking as a desperate person trying to survive. Which makes you wonder how many of the wild men are the same. Groot, no! So it's not the giant from the orcs, it's...
Not for felling trees. And in all that time, I promise We will see to it that the trees of this wood are left in peace.
We can promise that. As long as we're in control of them.
Estrid! Estrid!
Hagen.
She moved on quick.
Can't
I mean,
believe
with
you're
a Isildur I can understand, you know. It's kind. It's like these wild people living there. Like, obviously, they steal horses and they waylay people, but how much of that is literally for survival? Because initially I assumed they were doing it like on Adar's orders, like harry the humans, kill them if you can. But if they're just like they've escaped Mordor and they're just trying to live, and if they go into a village, the villagers are like, oh my god, you're Adar scum, go away. Like, are they just trying to survive? And were they being hostile because they assumed the like people of the town were attacking them, but it was the trees?
I made a promise.
Thank you for keeping it.
He's getting so grown up. Of course, he made sure they'd attack because he told them that the elves were working with. Like, someone explained that to me in the comments, actually. They explained two things. The Roman actress chose to leave to pursue women's rights in Iran, I believe. So good for her. That is amazing. And pointed out that Sauron meddling with the orc camp was to say, like, oh yeah, he's working with the elves. They made a deal with him to make the orcs go and attack the elves for his own aims. Oh dear. Please die more quietly. I'm really sorry. I mean, if you don't... Oh, they can smell you. Is she healing him? I want to say that, like, the actors in this show are all phenomenal. They all have their characters phenomenally, even when, like, they annoy me.
I will occupy them as long as I'm able.
Galadriel. Maybe he'll understand better if he's had it. There are a lot of them, but I don't doubt Galadriel. There are just quite a few of them. I love her. I want to be her when I grow up. Oh. To stop Sauron. I think it was both things are true. Because if it was just to save the ring, she could have been like, hey, one of you go distract them. I'll get this ring to safety. Like, she also was saving you guys. Both things can be true. And we need the ring just literally healed someone of like a potentially fatal wound.
Go back to the shadow.
Oh, great. Like, she was outnumbered. That was my only issue. Like, this is a very different vibe to that ending. Okay, so yeah, the Galadriel facing off against orcs, I would always pick Galadriel, but that many orcs was not looking great. And Adar himself being there, I guess one of them was like, "Hey, boss, smells over here," and so he came. I don't know. Not great. But maybe like actually could be beneficial to us if she's able to convince him she's not allied with Sauron, and is maybe able to say he actually is the dude we thought was the human king of the Southlands, and then he can be like, if he believes her, he could be like, ah, that is the dude that told me you two are allied. Maybe we won't, like, we'll leave you to him, you go get him. I don't know, like, maybe they could come up with some kind of a deal, I don't know. Stressful. Elrond in this to me is like, vroom, 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 vroom. Like, it's one of those things where I get that he probably isn't he is probably right about the rings. Like, I don't know whether they are ultimately like an actually terrible worst thing to have been created, or whether it's just leads to the creation of the One Ring, and that's obviously not good. But it's one of those things where the rings are doing good. She has worn it and doesn't feel any influence of Sauron. Now, yes, that could be being sneaky. It's there. She just can't, like, she isn't aware of it because it's manipulating her, or she's being made to lie about it, or whatever. But Elrond, like, never gives her any credit ever in this season. He's just like, no, Galadriel's the worst. Oh, I can't stand Galadriel. Like, I love her, but Jesus Christ, she's the literal worst. Any decision she makes, selfish and awful. And it's really bothering me, because I don't think he's entirely wrong about the rings being something they should be more wary of. I don't think he's wrong about being wary of using them because Sauron's influence, and it's what Sauron wanted. But he's acting like Galadriel is bad and evil, and yes, obviously she didn't want the ring to fall into the orc's hands, but given how powerful it is, I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to not want to happen. And she also saved all of them, because you know what would have been easier? Would you know how she would have had a better chance of surviving out there on her own? If she wasn't on her own, and if any of them had gone with her to distract the orcs. If there were 3 of them fighting, the other 2, or however many, could have had a better chance of escaping, and the rest of them would have distracted them for even longer, but she did it herself to save them. And yet he's still like, oh, she just did it to save the ring. No, she did it to save both things. Both things can be true. And it's bothering me that he's choosing to look at every single thing Galadriel does in the harshest possible light, just because she doesn't agree with him about something. And it's annoying me. Do I think Galadriel is always right and perfect? Yes. No. But I do think she is also doing what she thinks is the right thing, looking at her moral compass and figuring out what she can do. I still don't entirely know what he meant by, at what point is victory not worth the cost to get there? And she's like, I haven't reached that point yet. And then he's like, oh, that is the most shocking thing I've ever heard, because literally nothing has happened that could be attributed to stopping Sauron in this moment. Like, they put some rings on their fingers and healed a tree. You didn't listen to the ring and we got a guy killed. Like, that is all that has happened with these rings at this point. What do you mean? How can she not have already reached the point of not being... Because the only other thing to do now would be to admit that you can't defeat Sauron, wave the white flag, leave the rest of Middle-earth to just die under his rule, and fuck off to Valinor. And if that's what you want to do, fine. But Galadriel seems to actually want to try and help the people of Middle-earth. I don't understand Elrond in this. Like, I think he's just so fixated on the rings are a bad idea, and I told them the rings are a bad idea, and they didn't listen to me, and I'm always right. And it's annoying me. And like, even like, my father entrusted me to make sure that I could, like, that one day Celebrimbor's life would be in my hands, and I have to protect it at all costs. And it's like, okay, yes, that is also true. I do not want Celebrimbor to die. I think definitely Sauron played on his ego, and he's now a little ego man, but he doesn't deserve to die. But stopping Sauron should be the priority here. Why? What is Elrond? Why is Elrond? That is where I am with him in this episode. And whereas I think I root for Galadriel because I put myself in her shoes with the information she has, and I think I probably would make these decisions too. I do think I would probably end up doing the things she's doing, and maybe with the bigger picture, maybe if we can use foresight and look into the future, you can think, oh, shouldn't be doing that. But given what she has, the tools at her disposal, what she's been through, what she's experienced, and what she knows, I don't think she's doing anything wrong. So Elrond's very much frustrating me. I love Galadriel. And when I say Elrond's frustrating me, it is in no way the actor. I think he's doing a very good job of making me like Elrond even when he's being frustrated. Like, of almost making me think, I can see your point of view, Elrond. And I did appreciate in this episode, the scene they had after the fight was like the best scene they've had. But he also was really annoying in it. So I'm just very frustrated with him at the moment. And I can sort of try and empathize or try and understand that, like, if you are so convinced something is wrong and everyone around you is doing the thing that is wrong, it can be very, very hard to acknowledge and let it go, or acknowledge that they have a point. But you kind of have to, because if you have ever believed and valued in that person, then you would know they also think they're doing the right thing. It's not like Galadriel said, actually, the ring's quite pretty and I thought it went with my hair, so I'm going to wear it. Okay, it suits my outfit, I'm going to wear the ring because it's really pretty. Like, if she was being superficial about it or something, then you'd be like, are you serious? You're going to risk all of this because you think it's pretty? But she's not. He frustrates me. Then we have the shenanigans in Room with Nori, and I love the mythology of it. Them finding out that there are these other halflings who are basically, I guess, the half-wits. Maybe they've had like changes biologically, like because they've been apart for so long, but they're essentially the same species, race, whatever. The sand people. And that I think if the guard men had arrived right after Nori and Poppy had got there, she probably would have said, I don't want any hassle for my people. These two just turned up, take them. Because she's got to protect her own people. She doesn't even know who these people are, what shenanigans they're up to. But the moment she heard the name Burrows, the moment she realized that they were the descendants of the people that had left, and hearing that mythology that there were once sand half-wits who saw this vision of something that sounds like the Shire and wanted to set out to find it. This idea that they don't walk and walk and walk because it's not entirely safe for them. They stop anywhere, though they have obviously they walk through dangerous places. Originally they had a purpose and a mission, and that's been lost along the way. And it explains the walking song. It explains so many things, and it's just so clever, and I love it so much. And I love as well that it then inspired the leader of this village to be like, no, I have never heard of the people you seek. What? No, not me. It was just very well done, and adding to the mythology of it all, and adding to the mythology of how these hobbit-like people, you can see a future where they might one day strike out again and find the Shire. Especially with all the travelling they've done, there's a chance the half-wits have actually come across clues and signs about the Shire, but didn't know they were looking for it anymore. They just thought, we are a travelling people, it's what we do, so they weren't looking. It's just, I love it. Then we have the stranger. Is he Gandalf? He's very Gandalf-like, but I also feel like they could pull a no, he's not, because they know we all think he is. Yeah, it's a bit, Billy Bob, Billy Mandrill. Oh my god. CFS brain fog, fantasy names. It's not the best for me. Tom Bombadil. I did it. Tom Bombadil is a name I have heard, but I never really understood what it meant, who it was. He is the eldest, like, creature ever, the first Ishtar, I don't know. But obviously if the show wanted us to know, it would have been explained further. So like, what I mean is, like, if it was essential to know, it would have been explained further. For like people who haven't read the original, any of the books or anything, or have only seen the films one time and don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of it. So I'm assuming it will either be explained in the future, or we're not meant to really have a solid idea. There's definitely the argument to be had that if you have such amazing power at your fingertips, how can you just watch people get hurt when you could go and stop it? There's also an argument to be had that people deserve to get to live their lives. I don't know. But for the stranger to kind of hear that there's this evil dark wizard who's ruling over this area, and if he and Sauron meet, it's going to be bad. And that's fascinating to me, but it was for so long the Nori and the Stranger's plotline has been so very separate to the rest of it. All of the other plotlines have intermingled in some way. Most of the characters have met in some form or another, but they're all dealing with the same problem generally, in some more up close and personal than others, but they are all in the same plotline, whereas Nori and the Stranger are almost like they're in a different show. They're just wandering around doing their thing. And so for him to he knows the name Sauron, to hear that the Dark Wizard, it's almost like he's been guided here to learn more about his destiny, yes, but to realize that the Dark Wizard needs to be stopped. And I like that there's almost like these two forces, Sauron and the Dark Wizard, and we don't want them to meet. And so we've got most of our characters are over with Sauron, but some of them are over here with the Dark Wizard. It's just very interesting storytelling-wise, and I'm very excited to find it. I need the Stranger to find out who he is in this season. Like, I don't know how it works exactly, but I need him to figure out his name. Maybe it'll be when he finds his staff, when he's worthy of it, he'll be able to touch it and be like, Gandalf, John, like whatever his name is, he'll be able to figure it out, because that would be, I need to know. And like, yes, it's fun not knowing and guessing, but I also would like to be able to call him something other than the stranger. So that was a fascinating plotline. And he didn't manage to find Nori and Poppy, but they are alive. I don't know how they're all going to find each other again. Hopefully Tom Bombadil will be able to give him some helpful information other than just riddles, but we will see. Was it just that, and then Theo? And, well, not just Theo, but like the looking for Theo plot. So I had a feeling, well, we knew Estrid was thingamajig, but I had a feeling it would be more of a case of like, she didn't seem evil, and I guess she could have been pretending. I was sort of especially when she grabbed the sword, I was thinking, oh, was she about to be like, we'll kill all humans for Ada, ha ha ha, or something. But it really makes me feel like these wild men in the woods, are they just people trying to survive? Like people who survived Mordor, who took the brand, pledged loyalty because they had a sword to their throat, which is not it's not loyalty, it's submission, and even then it doesn't mean anything. And then fled and are now trying to survive, but they know if they go to any human settlements, they'll be turned away because they have the mark, which is probably part of why they get marked, to keep them like, you have nowhere else to go than stay here. I don't necessarily, like, at no point did we get the impression that they were working for Ada. Initially, when we knew they existed, I kind of assumed they'd been sent to harass the humans, sent to like keep them in check by the orcs' time, or just, you know, cause mayhem in general for Ada. But now it just seems like they're just people trying to survive. And I thought it was particularly interesting that Estrid didn't really try to explain herself. You know, she said the most she did was say, well, would it have been better if I died in Mordor? And then Isildur was like, not sure, which is such a mean thing to say. You know, I think if that was me, I would have been like, well, I knew I had to, it was either death or take the symbol, so I said, yeah, sure, I'm loyal to you, and then I left as soon as I could. Lots of us did. We don't support Ada, we just didn't want to die. And I think that is something that is so understandable on a human level. We'd all love to believe we can be brave enough to take it, but at the same time, there's also courage in submitting in the short term in order to get freedom in the long term. She doesn't seem evil. There were times that she could have been. Mildly, like, was she just gonna like threaten Isildur and then run off and go and try and find somewhere else to be? Or was, like, I don't entirely know what was gonna happen in those moments. Isildur has fallen for her very quickly. She is very beautiful, I'll give him that. He's very charming. Like, she genuinely seemed to move on to or fall for him quite quickly as well. But I also think she's just a woman trying to survive, and I do wonder how much of even how when she was going to kiss him before her lover turned up was because she thought, well, if he fancies me, he'll keep me alive. Like, if he thinks, like, if he falls in love with me, then he'll keep me safe, because she's had everything ripped away from her and she just needs to be safe. Like, right now I don't hate Estrid. I would love to get confirmation of more of her story and more of her motivations, but I view her right now as a woman in impossible circumstances trying to survive, and therefore I support her, because she deserves to survive. And she came back for them. Like, yes, they had the key to the manacles, but she probably could have found someone and been like, oh, it was so awful, these bad men took me and they put these manacles on me, help. And then some man would have been like, oh, you poor delicate damsel, I'll help. And, you know, she probably could have got away with it. But it's just very interesting. And now I do wonder if there's going to be more peace between the humans and the wild men or whatever, because they'll realize that they aren't actually evil, or maybe they are actually evil, and then they'll just keep living separately. I don't know. I also don't know if we're going to see much more of that. I assume Isildur will stay because he's waiting on a Numenorian ship to arrive, which probably never will at this point, so that he can go home and say, not dead, sister, you held a coup because I was dead. Well, I'm not, you know, like, I'm assuming. But he also is incredibly brave and has a sense of honor, and I could see him going with Arondir to try and track down the orcs. I don't think it would be dishonorable to not, but like, I feel like it could go both ways. So I don't know if we'll know what happens with the wild men and the townspeople, but it was very interesting. And Theo hugging Arondir when he saw him and thanking him for keeping his promise and not being all surly and mean was lovely. And I loved that Arondir said, if you want to come with me, you can. Because I was ready for him to say, it's no place for a kid, like, you need to stay here and be safe. But he offered him the chance to go with him, and then he chose to stay and help people. It was really lovely. And, you know, if we never see Theo again, at least I'll be able to imagine him living nicely and having a happy life and healing from his traumas it does not, obviously you never fully heal from that kind of trauma, but healing to a place where he's able to enjoy life. Or he may stay a main character, I don't know, but yeah. I am assuming in the next episode Adar will like have Galadriel prisoner similar to the way she had him prisoner in the first season, and they'll talk, I hope, and maybe he'll figure out the Sauron misunderstanding. Now, even so, I don't think he will actually be like, oh, you're not working with Sauron, you deal with him then, see ya. I think he'll be like, but he's in that city, I need to go and kill him. Like, I still think he'll continue his attack because he wants to kill Sauron, but it's going to be interesting to see them interact and what happens, and ultimately how she escapes. Because is she going to escape? Are the elves going to like launch a rescue attack? Or is it going to be more of a case of she escapes through diplomacy and through words and through saying, like, we don't work with Sauron, we're also out to get him, like, if you let me go, we'll kick him out of the city and then you can have him. Like, I could see it going a lot of different ways. It's very stressful, but I can't wait to see where the show goes. I'm absolutely loving it. Like, I don't know if I'll leave it in the edit or not, but I think, say at the beginning of the episode, I've been having, like, a pretty shit mental health day today, and I was really worried. Like, I wasn't particularly in the mood to react. I was kind of like, oh, am I just kind of going to be, like, miserable the whole way through it? And I just, within a couple of minutes of being like, I felt like, oh, yes, I'm happy. This is high fantasy. I love it. I love these characters. I love the story. Stressful things are happening, but I'm in a happy place. It made my day better, so I'm really glad for that. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.